I love this question because it gets to the heart of how we think about and learn about tabletop RPGs. When a lot of us start with D&D, we assume that D&D is the norm, that it is the wellspring from which all other TTRPGs flow, that all other TTRPGs are going to be D&D but. We assume there's going to be something different, but we assume there's going to be the same basic core mechanics. There's going to be a game master, and players, and character sheets, and levels, and dice, and HP, and rules. And while D&D may have been the first tabletop role-playing game that you or I played, the first role-playing game that you or I played was when we played make-believe as kids. Barbies, action figures, house, Legos, mermaids, or whatever else you and I pretended with, that is the wellspring from which all other RPGs, tabletop or otherwise, flow. Those childhood make-believe games didn't have game masters and character sheets and dice and levels and HP, and sometimes those things weren't going to make the game better. Sometimes they wouldn't even make sense in the games that we were choosing to play, even as adults. If you start with childhood make-believe games, and then build on top of those to create a tabletop role-playing game, you get things like High Society, which is a Regency romance game in the style of like Jane Austen or Bridgerton. Or you get Alice is Missing, which is a high school missing persons game. Or you get Wanderhome, which is a wholesome cottagecore game. How would HP benefit any of those? Even if it's a game that does have combat, if you start with childhood make-believe games, you might not think to do HP at all. Instead, you might just think, okay, do I combat better than them or not? Powered by the Apocalypse games like Vampire the Masquerade and Blades in the Dark do this by having you just roll one time for all of combat. The other guys don't even roll. Sure, you add your modifiers, and then once you do, if you fail the combat roll, then you failed the combat, and you lost. And if you succeeded the combat roll, then you succeeded, and you won. And there's this middle ground in Powered by the Apocalypse games where, like, you succeed with complications. Or games like Leverage, Roll for Shoes, and You Are Deadpool do this by you roll once for your side, and then the other guy rolls once for their side. And you add up your modifiers, and whoever gets higher wins. You know, kind of like Risk or the card game War. And if you start from a place of childhood make-believe games and then move into horror games or comedy games or heist games or dozens of other genres, you might not think that HP is useful here. Because HP can't be a mechanic by itself. Other things have to affect it for it to do anything, and then it has to affect other things for it to do anything. And sometimes those might not be useful in the game or the genre or the story that we all decide we want. When you learn a new game, don't think of it as D&D but. Think of it as mechanics to support the make-believe. Follow for more TTRPG talk.